Do us a theme song or something?
Yeah, we get our own Pozzible theme song.
There we go. Oh, hey there, everybody. You're back again, and I'm your good friend Pozzible here, along with
Joe?
And we're going to be having a little bit of a debate. I know Joe disagrees with this statement a little bit. I happen to agree with it, and that's why we're going to be debating this. We want to talk about why movies are bad for comic books.
Of course you agree with it. You're the one that came up with it.
Well, yeah, I agree with it. And, it's been something that's been itching at the back of my mind for a long time. I mean, don't get me wrong. The comic book industry feels like they've benefited highly from movies because now that they've been making the movies, they feel validated, right?
Yeah, well, the movies are big box office hits.
Right. And they're bringing in a more general audience.
Right.
But the problem that I'm having with these movies ultimately is that they're taking it away from the comic book audience. We have to lose so that others will gain.
I don't think we're losing, per se.
So now we're going to bring up some specific examples and see if we, ultimately, I don't really expect this to come with a resolution, even though normally I'd be right and you'd be wrong.
I don't think so. I think I'm right.
But ultimately, we're trying to keep the heart of the comic books. And let's start off with Batman Begins. You liked it.
I loved it.
I enjoyed Batman Begins too, but I never felt I was watching Batman because they took away from Bruce Wayne's intelligence. He was no longer the R&D guy. Remember, originally Bruce Wayne made all his gadgets, and yes, you did see him making his little batarangs, which of course were nothing but little like shurikens. Only now they were batarangs.
Right. They were actually. I've lost my train of thought on that one, but I remember him doing them, and they actually looked a lot smaller than normal batarangs.
Oh, very much smaller. Very much smaller. He doesn't have the gadgets. Now, I forgave the gadget parts because this is Batman's new.
It's based off of Batman Year One.
Right.
Batman, if you've ever read Batman Year One, he has a lot of problems with his gadgets and whatnot.
He's still trying to find his footing and everything. Right. Now, the one thing they took away that I really liked was that at that stage in his life, Batman, according to the original mythology, decided to become Batman after his initial outing. He didn't have a symbol yet. He didn't know really what he was going to be doing or anything like that. So he just dressed up as as like a vigilante in some ways, and attacked some bad guys. But they just attacked him back because they weren't scared of him or anything.
Right.
And so it wasn't until after that he did. Now, to grant you, I'm basing this off of Batman: The Mask of Phantasm. That's where they really delve into this. And Bruce Wayne realized they weren't scared, and he needed to be something that would scare people. And that is when he came up with the Batman. Now, don't get me wrong. In Batman Begins, he also followed that thought. He became Batman so that he would be a symbol that would scare the villains.
And that symbol is still going in comics today. Everybody thinks that Gotham City needs the symbol of the bat. Anybody close to him, even if it's not Bruce Wayne or it's not the actual Batman. That's how we got some of the Batgirls.
Right. There was always the symbol of the bat in there. But in my opinion, even though they briefly touched on it all the way up until the very end of Dark Knight Rises, they were showing his intelligence was always on the back burner. It's almost as if they're afraid to make these people as smart as they are. Because Batman in the comic books and in the TV show Batman the Animated Series was very clever. He set up traps. He tricked people. But they kind of got away from that.
Yeah, but they have to be careful, too, with movies because there's a lot more you can do with animation and in comics than if you do it in movies. It's like, okay, people just aren't going to buy it.
Right. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand what you're saying, because in the comic books and in the TV animated series, he does not wear bulletproof armor, and yet he's able to dodge bullets.
Right.
He's able to leap out of the way of bullets. And, of course, in real life, unless you want to make it look real corny, it's not going to work.
Well, in the comics, he does wear Kevlar under his outfit.
Okay, in the comics, yes.
Yeah, he does wear the Kevlar, but, he does a lot of these amazing things in the comics that if you saw it on screen, it'd be like, okay, you just ruined the movie.
Right. And that's the disconnect that I really worry about. Because ultimately, if you put something, when you consider the source, if you're going to put it on the big screen, the comic book fans would want to see their hero the way we envision them, you know? That's why I like Dark Knight Rises, but that's a movie I can only see once. I can't see it twice. Because I can't see Bruce Wayne like that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what one thing that ruined Dark Knight Rises for me. I can't see Bruce Wayne as ever giving up on the Batman like he did. You know, in Dark Knight Rises, like Bane says, your victory has become your defeat. Because now that he has quote-unquote won the battle and there's nothing but petty crimes, he doesn't feel needed anymore.
Right.
And without Rachel Dawes anymore, he doesn't have anything really to move on to get back his life, so he becomes a hermit.
Right.
You know? But that's not Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, but remember in the animated series there was an episode where he was at odds with this one lawyer and she told him, I'm still going to work towards a world that doesn't need Batman. And his response to her was, me too. He wanted to work towards something in the animated series as well, where he was not needed anymore. He wanted to bring crime down.
Right. But ultimately, I mean, now that he had that, it's one of those things where it's like, it's like he won the gold medal or he landed on the moon. Right. Now that he's achieved his goal, he's got nothing else to do, no place else to go for, and he falls apart. And that was very hard to see. I know that's what Christopher Nolan was going for, giving him something to triumph over.
Right.
But it was very hard to watch. Very difficult for me to see that. Moving along nowadays to Spider-Man. Oh no, how about this one? Here's a favorite for you guys. Avengers. Great movie. One of my favorites. Only Joe has one major complaint, don't you, Joe?
I just wish they'd have given Hawkeye the mask.
But it wouldn't have worked. That's the problem. It doesn't translate.
Without the mask, he's not Hawkeye.
You know what, though? Here's the ultimate defense, okay? The ultimate defense against that is that he wouldn't really be fully Hawkeye yet.
Yes.
He is still the agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Because either way, he did good.
Yeah. I mean, Jeremy Renner, awesome job.
Yes.
Ultimately, though, when it comes to Hawkeye, though, the issue we all have is that, A, he didn't have the outfit. Now, I don't care that he didn't have the outfit. I don't think the outfit, that purple does not translate well on
I think it would
the big screen. That said, maybe it's too soon for the outfit because they don't want him to be a superhero yet. They don't want him to be his own hero like the others were.
Right.
They wanted him to be a part of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's why I forgive it because it's too early for him to actually be Hawkeye that we know.
By the way, I don't know if you've heard about this yet, and don't get me wrong, guys, this is just a rumor that I've heard. They're next in the fall on one of the TV shows, I think it's ABC, they're coming out with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And from what I'm understanding, Agent Coulson is going to be there for that. He's going to be in it. Maybe as a cameo, maybe just as a symbol. It's hard to say. But I'm excited for that. Now, of course, why is it on ABC? Who owns ABC?
No idea.
Disney. And what does Disney own now? They own Marvel. You know? So that's coming up here also. Another disconnect I wanted to talk to you about, Spider-Man. You know, if you guys know me, one of the biggest complaints I had about Spider-Man, this is one with Tobey Maguire. I love the show, but come on. Organic webbing, not working for me.
Yeah, it didn't work for me, although I didn't like the second Spider-Man, like the Andrew Garfield. I really didn't like those. But I did like the fact that they gave him the
they made him
shooters.
Smart.
But he put laser sighting on the web shooters. I didn't like that.
You know what? That shouldn't be too much of a problem because A, I didn't really notice the laser sighting, but also B, I noticed that Spider-Man does have some sort of light. You don't see this very often. This is one of his... We can have something called about the forgotten gadgets of Spider-Man. One of the forgotten gadgets of Spider-Man are the spider tracers.
Oh, yeah.
People, they don't use those at all in these movies. And that's kind of upsetting. Because that's a staple.
Because Batman had the tracers, too.
Yeah, well, they had all these gadgets. The other one, the Spider-Man flashlight. The spider light, okay?
The one like on his belt buckle or something that shot the Spider-Man head?
Yeah, it basically was his way of blinding his enemies or shocking the people. And he shined a light on them. And, we got to do that. We got to talk about some of the forgotten things. And we're going to do that. As you guys know, we're on this podcast, Unleashed to Nerds. We're going to be talking about that in our podcast, the forgotten things that people have.
Remember the Spider-Mobile?
I had a spider helicopter when I was a kid. Yeah, back in the day, they were able to give these guys everything.
Oh yeah.
Despite the fact that they were poor or whatever, he still had a spider copter. He's got a spider mobile. I always remember way back in the day when they killed Elektra in the Daredevil comics. Daredevil, he never had a Daredevil mobile or anything, so he had a broken leg. And it was Elektra who broke it. This was before she died. And so how does he get around? He gets in his Daredevil outfit, and he takes a cab. He takes a cab. I was very shocked about that.
I thought the biggest waste was getting all the little toys and stuff and getting a flash car. Why would you have a flash car?
He's the fastest. Yeah, he could probably outrun the flash car. Yeah, those were, but back in the day, everybody had stuff like that as a way of promoting them. Anything to get your money, guys. Anything to get your money.
The Hulk flying a helicopter.
Even though back to our, how do we get to this point? We're still on our discussion. Sorry about that, gang. But no, I mean, ultimately, here's the real problem I see. If any of you have seen movies before Spider-Man, movies like the original Batman, which is a classic, still one of the best Batmans ever.
Michael Keaton ones,
right? But you also see movies like Darkman. You see movies like Dick Tracy.
I've seen them,
and these were movies that didn't do very well, but they were very close to their source.
Yeah,
they stayed true to the source material, and even though the public at large would not embrace this, the comic book fans did. The original fans did. And, I'm hoping that they don't disconnect us too much further. I know this is not a comic book, but James Bond, 007 Skyfall, I know it was one of the best ones ever in terms of money. It was one of the few that made $1 billion and everything. But that said, I wasn't happy with what they did with Q. They took the most brilliant, inventive mind in the whole movie industry, and they made him out to be nothing more than a hacker. And I'm nothing against hackers, don't mind you, but that's not what Q is. Q does not hack. Q invents. And that kind of difference was something that I was looking forward to with his return. But now that we got this hacker, it's like they changed him, and the change did not work with me. Okay? That's all I have to say about that. I'm just saying the change didn't work with me because I want the inventor. I want the clever guy who made these awesome gadgets. But in terms of comic books, Joe, we have only a few minutes left. Movies. Ultimately, what would you say, bad or good for comics?
Either way, I mean, I think ultimately it could be, like I said, go either way. Probably good because you get people who don't read comics, but then they see the characters and they might, go to a comic store to grab an issue because they start liking this particular character.
That is true.
Maybe
I do give it that.
Maybe you don't like the Avengers, but maybe you like, oh, hey, Iron Man's pretty cool. I'm going to go check out an Iron Man book or something.
The guy who started it all. I mean, don't get me wrong, Batman, Spider-Man, they all had their part, but Iron Man was the first one who really launched Marvel Phase 1. I think that was before they had Phase 1.
Yeah, this was
because Avengers, but it was because of Iron Man that they came up with Phase 1, and now, people are saying that about Man of Steel.
Right, they're saying that he could launch the whole Justice League and see where we're going.
And
I don't know. I just saw the trailer.
Why couldn't they say that about Dark Knight? Because Dark Knight, the second Batman with Christopher Nolan, that one did very well.
Yeah,
very well. It was one of the second highest, one of the highest growing movies of that year.
I still think we need to take a break from the Joker in movies and go focus on some other characters.
However, I will say this for Christopher Nolan, Dark Knight was definitely the best of his series because that was the full Batman. That was the guy who jumps off of the building and lands on the truck. He was very intelligent, still not at the level of Bruce Wayne in the comic books or video games, but still very smart. And
I still give it to the original. The Batman Begins because we finally got villains that we are not used to. We had the Scarecrow, we had Ra's al Ghul, and Zaz.
Exactly. Well, Zaz is only a cameo, really.
Right, but at least they put him in the movie.
Exactly. But ultimately, you know what? I mean, ups or downs, lefts or right, movies are here to stay, comic books, video games, everything. It's, comic books have always been the very flexible genre. They've been in radio. They've been on, cereals.
Some of them, yes.
Yeah, not
Batman.
the kind you eat. Cereal, the movie, okay? But
there was a Batman cereal.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
And that was actually the first Batman to be on screen. I forget his name now.
Kirk Allen was Superman. Douglas Croft was in one of them. I can't remember who's Batman or Robin. Lewis Wilson was in another one.
Well, gang, unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the theaters.
See you later.